All right, well, we made it to the taper, and we got less than 2 weeks until the Western States 100 miler. Now, the taper is somewhere where you can mess up weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months of training. So you got to make sure to do it right for many different reasons. The first reason we'll talk about, which I think there are more important reasons than what I'm going to say, that I'll explain all throughout this video, that I'm doing going into Western States. But the first run that you have back in the taper, like stupid easy, really easy, letting the body recover, letting the body sink into lower volume. So that's what we're doing today. We're also doing our first round of our second round of a heat block, which is also very important to do in the taper. So we'll do that as well. So yeah, today we're just doing like a nice hour and a half, hour 40 minute, somewhere around there. Easy run, a little bit of rolling hills, nothing crazy, super easy recovery. It's pretty hot outside. Right now it's like 90 degrees, so pretty hot. But the point of today is to recover, and I'm getting excited. I'm getting the taper jitters, right? From the standpoint of like, I just wish the race was here, but it's all good. And I've just been spending the mornings like nice and relaxing, like just enjoying some caffeine, like really just easing into the morning as opposed to just like rushing right into it, because, you know, one of the biggest things is I want to go into this race relaxed and calm. And so, you know, trying to do what I can to simmer down the nervous system and go into this thing ready to go, because it's going to be rip time in less than 2 weeks. But anyways, let's get on this run nice and easy to kick the taper off. Feeling pretty good. Beautiful day. Just strutting nice and easy. Nothing to it, no forcing it. Not worried about pace, just shaking that legs out. Taper is meant to absorb all the fitness to recover. You just show up to race day ready to go, so no need to try to be a hero on these runs. I mean, still the pace is pretty good, 9:35, which is, you know, pretty good for a recovery pace in 90-degree heat. So the fitness is there, but still keeping it easy. It's all good tonight, for sure. Hour and 35 minutes, 10 miles, nice and easy. Nothing to it. Now it's time to pop in the sauna for day one of part 2 of the Western States heat block.
Simba.
Oh geez, hi bud.
Simba, come here.
What? Simba, go ahead. Hi. Hi buddy. Alright, so we're heading to the sauna today, 20 minutes. And then we're going to do another consecutive heat training block. If you want like a primer again on the heat training, go watch the heat training video that we did a few weeks ago. I think it was like 6 weeks ago or so. But this is the standard for heat training. So I've been doing extra heat training this block, mostly because I've had the experience and because Western States is really hot and I'm doing bad water after. So I need all the heat adaptations that I can get, but in a targeted way. So we'll go through the whole block today, but this, what you're watching now, my heat training, is what you probably should be doing for yours. So we'll go through it together. Let's go. Sauna was kicking today, but you know, the goal of these sessions is to be uncomfortable. It's not supposed to be relaxing. It's not supposed to be, you know, a walk in the park. It's not supposed to be, oh, this is nice. Like, it's supposed to suck because we're trying to stress the body out with heat adaptations, even though, you know, on the run earlier, 90 degrees, didn't feel hot at all, didn't feel labored, so that's good. But we still want to make it hurt in the sauna. All right, well, on to a day of work. And that's day one of the taper done. We'll continue to show you how you do this heat protocol and then show you how to do it for yourself. At the end of the video, you guys, I'm gonna let my heart rate go down because it's jumping, which is a good thing. You want it to be jumping, for sure. I need some water. So I totally messed up. When I was on the treadmill doing my workout, I was taking videos and I realized that I was just taking pictures the whole time because I accidentally flipped somehow setting from video to picture. So I just took a bunch of pictures. So no videos of that workout, I guess, but it was done. And I just did the sauna session right after. So workout went well. It was about like a little over 9 miles and 1,800 feet of gain. Felt pretty good. Definitely kept it on the low side, the 4 to 5 RPE. But, we're trying not to tax ourselves. That's the biggest thing with this taper. And then I sat in the sauna. It felt decent, but man, that is the most I've ever sweat, which shows that the body is adapting to heat very well, because the more you're sweating, the more heat adapted you are, because your body is basically telling you, hey, we're trying to cool you down. So again, reminder for all the people who are high sweaters. It just means you're very good in the heat. You're heat adapted. I'm gonna go home, eat some food, and then I'm on calls straight from 11 a.m. to like 6:30 straight. Yeah, I'm trying to get like a lot of the big calls out of the way, just so the next few days are a little bit more chill. So what do we got today? We got a few calls with some clients, podcast interview with one of our coaches. We got a call with a potential venue for a new race that we're going to be launching. And because you watched the video this far, you get to sneak peek at that. That's all the details I can share for now. What else? Call with one of our brand partners, and call with a few of our coaches, and then our group coaching call, Q&A tonight. So, big rally on the calls. And then we're going to hit strength after. Last strength session. Again, keep it light, but I'll show you what I do there. So, anyways, let's get on with this day. Sorry that I fudged up the video on the workout, but it happens. All right. So, it's Wednesday, and it is 10 days before Western States 100. And 10 days before a race is a very, very important thing to keep in mind for the taper, for a lot of people. Not all people, but a lot of people. And this is especially true if you've been doing any type of intensity during your training block for your next race. So in the taper, obviously, we are reducing volume, we're prioritizing recovery, but here is a very common thing that happens, and this is also, backed by science and how the body works, is that if you don't get your body to run faster, and you have been running faster, that's the big caveat on that. If you have been doing faster runs, such as speed workouts or strides, and if you go too long with just running easy runs after that, you actually might feel a little bit flatter, because your legs aren't used to that poppiness, they're not used to that turnover, they're not used to that faster stride, and you can kind of lose a little bit of that neuromuscular pop in your legs. So your legs kind of feel a little bit sluggish and heavy. And we do not want that for Western States. So here is the plan. And I just realized I just totally missed my turn. Oh well. Anyways, all that being said, so if you have been doing some sort of intensity, which for me at this Western States block, I've been doing some steady state workouts for several weeks past. You do want to maintain some sort of intensity in your taper 10 days out from the race. I like 10 days because it's farther enough for the race where you're going to, not gas yourself, going into the race. It still gives you good neuromuscular pop, and it is early on in the taper, so you still get the rest to kind of recover well. Today, we're going to do a very, very short primer workout. This is not meant to tax me. This is not meant to build fitness. This is just meant to stay sharp. So it's going to be a relatively easier workout based on relative to all the other workouts that we've been doing in the steady state intensity for this training block. So today's workout is going to be 2 sets of 15 minutes uphill at 4 to 5 RPE, sticking closer to a 4, just so we don't overtax our body. And then we're going to do 4 sets of 20-second strides flat. There's the flat part. Yes, there it is. So, and then at the end of the run, we'll do 4 sets of 20-second strides on flatter ground, warm up and cool down. Probably should total, I think, about an hour and 30 minutes. That's where I'm keeping most of my non-long runs during the taper. The taper probably have a 2.5 hour long run. Again, nothing crazy. We're just going to recover. And then directly after this session, we're going right into the sauna so we can get our heat session number 2. So yeah, headed to the gym right now because I'm doing this session on a treadmill for 2 reasons. Number 1, I want that nice continuous uphill. Number 2, I am prioritizing sleep. Because I'm prioritizing sleep, it's also really hot because it's later in the day here at Phoenix. I think right now it is 90 degrees, and I don't want to fry myself being outside in the sun. So we're just going to go on the treadmill today. It makes it easier because it's at the same place where I do the sauna. So just go right to the sauna afterwards and condense in time. So yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm And I also want to talk about something too, just real quick, as I'm yapping along. And I think this one will be a little bit more coherent than what everything else has been. But I feel like in the taper, sometimes I get very antsy. And antsy from the sense of like, I just want the race to happen. Like, I just want the race to happen. I want it to be here. Like, I'm not running as much. And so, number one is if you have extra time, which you will because you're not running as much, make sure that you fill it with something that is going to keep your mind outside of running. Now, my favorite thing to fill it with is sleep. Like, I've been getting in like about an hour extra of sleep because I'm running an hour less each day. So I've been getting an hour extra of sleep each day. But even so, right, like there's just some days where, I just still have some extra time or my mind's just thinking about it, is try to occupy it with something else. So for me, like I've been reading books, I've been listening to podcasts that don't have to do with running, that really mostly have to do with business, because that's kind of like the other area I'm super passionate about in life. And then even just like, vegging out and just like watching TV shows or something. So anyways, like, because like if your mind just keeps like swirling about the race like all the time, like it can kind of lead to this like anxious, like antsy feeling, and you want to like make sure that your mind is primed and at bay and ready to give it its fullest during the taper period, right? There are some dedicated intentional moments that I really suggest doing in the taper that have you deliberately focus on the race, which we'll go through. Time and place, right? Like there's and everything in moderation. So it's funny, I say everything in moderation, even though I run ultra marathons. You get my point, is that like, you don't want to be overly obsessing about the race, like in the taper, because you're just going to you want to make sure the mind is calm too. So think about it when intentional, think about it in a productive way. If you keep just thinking about like, oh, I just want it to be here, I want it to be here, I want it to be here, blah, 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 like it's just going to get the mind all riled up. And so, I don't know, that helps me. That's like my thing. And then once you're in the race or at the race venue, then it's like, all right, it's time to deploy all this excitement. I think another thing that I see this doesn't really happen with me. This happens very commonly with a lot of athletes that I've coached and seen, is you might have so much excited energy that it can be easy, like on your recovery runs, to run harder because you have so much excitement. And I've been prone to this sometimes, but the thing that I remind myself, and the thing that I always tell my athletes to think about too, if they're in this position, is save that excitement for race day, right? The taper is meant to recover. The taper is meant to go into the race fresh. You don't want to burn your chips all at the table for running, runs harder than they need to be, because that is one way where you can really just hinder recovery. So just save all that excitement for race day, where you get to, unleash, and you get to let the beast out, and you get to, finally deploy all of that excitement that you've been building up for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months to the race. So just another tip. All right, I'm never be yapping. Let's get to running. Let's get to the gym, and let's do this little primer workout. It's Friday the deload. Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where we're like, okay, it's ready to rock. Can it just be here already? Obviously it's not. Hi, buddy. It's not here yet. We got a week from tomorrow, but I'm just getting antsy and just want it to be here, and all the feelings, I guess, are setting in. I think like another thing is I've been a little bit tired this week, mostly from the standpoint of like not like the training, obviously, but like it's been a little bit busier than I probably would have liked in the taper, but sometimes that's life, right? Hi, bud. This is Simba, by the way, for those who don't know. Hi, buddy. Hi. Hi. All right, I got to get ready. Been a little bit busier. I mean, I run a business, and, things happen sometimes. You have to attend to things, and it's been a little bit busy this week. And because it's been a little busy too, yesterday, like I made the decision to cut the run a little bit shorter, get a little bit more sleep, a little bit more recovery. Again, like the point of the taper is to recover and make sure that you're showing up to race day as fresh as you can. You don't want to be in a position where you're like over pushing. So if you have a day like where, you feel like you need a little bit more rest, recovery, gotta take it. Yesterday I did get about 10 miles in. I was planning to get like 12 or so, but yeah, just needed that little bit of extra recovery. And I think it paid off, because today I'm feeling good. Feeling a lot better. Yeah, I am definitely feeling a tad bit tired, but I think we should be kicked on that by tomorrow. Like usually I would say like I start to feel back to normal after a taper on like the Sunday or Monday after. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Also, we're going to do some test footage today because by the way, this is a little bit of hype for Western States. We're coming out with our own Western States documentary, and it's going to be a different approach. It's not just going to be hey, look at me, I'm racing Western States. No, it's going to be like we're going to not only tell the story of my race, but also make the trail a main character. And I won't talk about exactly like what that means and what the angle is and everything as such too, but I'm going to be wearing a camera out there. So I'm going to test out this little strap here. Hopefully it works with this camera that you're watching it on. And I guess you get to see some test footage. So yeah, anyways, let's get out there, get started. Today we're just doing an hour and a half, super easy. Nothing to it. Some rolling hills, but nothing crazy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Simba, you have anything to add? Man of many words. All right, it is Saturday. This is the taper long run on here. And we've got a little bit of a late start today. Why? Several different reasons. Number one, my rule of thumb during the taper is no alarm unless I absolutely need to. Mostly because I just want to give myself the sleep that my body needs, because sleep is very, very important for recovery. It's very important for energy. It's very important for adaptations. And I really want to maximize this taper to the fullest to make sure that I'm fresh going into race day. So today slept in a little bit more, had a nice relaxing morning. It's Saturday, don't have to work today. So I just enjoyed my caffeine, just chilled with my dog, and had a slow start. But that said, in Arizona, we call it the spicy price, because it gets really hot the later that you wait. So it's gonna be pretty freaking hot, but it's all right. This run, let's see, right now it's 8:30. We're probably gonna get started this run at 8:45 because I gotta get my bottles together and the bathroom and all that stuff. So it'll probably be in the 90s for this run. Now, the good news is two different things. Number one is we need the heat stimulus for heat training, and this absolutely counts. So this absolutely counts as a sauna session. So I won't be going into the sauna later, so this will count as the heat session, which is nice. Two, as you can see, this is actually my full kit for Western States. We got the full kit here. This is literally what I'm wearing. So pretty much everything except the headband. I got a new headband with a specific design that's coming in. Pretty much this is everything I'm gonna be wearing at Western States. And so the reason why I say it's a good thing with the heat is because I'll have an ice bandana with ice, and then I have these arm sleeves, which are cooling arm sleeves, which, by the way, such a hack in the heat. I don't see people utilizing arm sleeves enough. They're so good because they basically have another layer of topical cooling and they stay wet. And the wetter that you are, the cooler you're going to be because of the evaporation effect. And arm sleeves basically will stay wet on your arms. And what studies show is that the more surface area of skin that you have wet, or applied with ice, the more cool you're going to be. So it doesn't necessarily mean like where you put the ice. It's just how much skin is on it. And obviously there's a lot of skin with your arms. So that's why I like to have it. And then even for extra benefit, you can put ice in the arm sleeves too, which I will be doing in Western States. So have that in there. So I'll be doing a bunch of cooling protocols, everything too. I also have a rule today. So today's run is going to be 2 to 2.5 hours. Now I have a rule today, and this is a very big rule in the taper. And by the way, I get this a lot from athletes I coach. I get this a lot from people writing in. With the taper, of course you don't want to do too little, but you definitely don't want to do too much. And too much doesn't necessarily mean like volume. It also means stress on the body. And so you have a disproportional benefit from doing a little bit less in the taper versus doing much more. Because here's the thing. Number one is it's impossible to actually make material fitness gains in the taper because fitness gains come at the very least at 2 weeks. And so like today, for example, is the Saturday before Western States, so 1 week. Like there is no way you can make fitness gains up until the race. That's the first thing. Second thing is because we know that, right, the only thing that we can really do is diminish our body and diminish our energy levels and beat up our muscles a little bit more. So if we know that to be true, then we want to play it a little bit on the conservative side. Now, granted, you don't want to do absolutely nothing. You don't want to do too little because then your legs aren't going to be poppy. But here's the thing. Here's the biggest thing I tell athletes all the time is that if you are in a position where you're worrying about doing two more, like, or much more, or a little less, right? So if you're like, gosh, I do a little bit more, or a little less, always opt for a little less. So where that comes into today's long run is that because it's really hot outside, if I'm feeling like, you know, if I'm just feeling like there's going to be a little, like this long run today and your last long run in the taper should not feel taxing. And when I say tax, I mean like it should feel good. Like it should feel good. Like not like like not, oh God, that was not as great. Like it should feel good. And if this run feels anything less than good, whether it's due to the heat stress or anything as such too, I will cut it at 2 hours. Whereas like if I'm feeling pretty good and I'm rocking it and I don't feel like, you know, any adverse effects, like I'll push it to 2:30, but nothing more than that. That's the cap. Because you want to be nice and prepared and recovered. You want your muscles to be in a good shape. And so, again, like the rule of the taper is to recover. It's not to make fitness progress. It's not this. And here's the thing, right? This is the number one pushback I get with like this concept with the taper is that like, well, I don't want to lose fitness. I don't want to lose it all. I don't want to lose all the hard work and gains. Here's the reality, my friends. And this is science, by the way. This is not just hype. This is science. You would have to do absolutely nothing. And I mean nothing. Like not even, like you would like just have to sit on your couch and rot away for 2 weeks to even lose a marginal amount of fitness. So studies even show that if within that 2 week period, if you're running like once a week in that 2 week period, so like 2 runs total for a total of 2 weeks, you can actually maintain a lot of your fitness gains. And in the taper, you're rarely running only 2 times. So, like, scientifically, you're not going to lose any fitness. Like, even if you do a little bit less in the taper. Most of the reason why you want to keep running in the taper is, yes, of course, you don't want to lose fitness, but most importantly is just to maintain the freshness, the poppiness. Like, running is a very neuromuscular thing too, and so like your nervous system has to get primed for it, and like biomechanically like your legs get into a routine of having that poppiness, and like if you don't run a lot, like your legs can just feel heavy. It doesn't mean your fitness is gone, it just means like you don't feel as fresh, and you want to feel fresh, right? So anyways, recovery is your number one priority in the taper. That's my number one priority here. I just don't want to blow it at Western States. And so yeah, that's going to be today. We're going to probably start with ice right off the bat. I mean, yeah, like literally right now, as you can see on the thermometer, it's 90 degrees already right now. I mean, good, right? I mean, practice. I mean, even though like, you know, taper long run isn't necessarily practice, but yeah, the other thing that I'm just going to say, I'm friggin' antsy. I want it to be race day so bad. Like I just want it to be here, but 1 week away. We're heading out to Olympic Valley on Wednesday. So yeah, that'll be good. The other thing I'm doing up is holing up. Like I'm going to the movies today. We're going to watch Toy Story. because I'm a big Toy Story guy. That is like top 3 film of mine of all time. And so we're gonna watch Toy Story 5 today, and that's like the only kind of place that we're really going publicly. Obviously the airport, everything, but like, you know, trying to keep everything contained and not get sick. That's the biggest thing. Anyways, I'm just rambling and meandering right now. We're gonna get to the trailhead and just go on a nice, easy 2 to 2.5 hour last little long run going into. I mean, this is like the longest run. I don't know, man. We're just getting. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it, and that's it. I'll see you at the trailhead. All right, we are out here. The arm sleeves are wet, and these feel like really cool. This is the first time I've actually like used this brand because they were sold out of the ones that I usually use. But man, these are like already nice and cool, which is great. Got some ice in the good old bandana. It's pretty warm, but it's gonna be a good day. So let's get this thing started. All right, now we're off. Let's go. All right, huge sign that the taper and the training has worked. I don't even feel hot at all. I feel really strong, like I'm running up more things at an easier intensity in terms of uphill than I'm normally used to. Legs feel good and poppy. Everything's clicking. Looks like we're ready to run sub 18 at Western States, baby. Let's go. We're about 6 miles in. Beautiful day in the mountains. It's a good day to be alive, baby. Good day to run Western States next week. 14 miles, 2 hours and 20 minutes, 1,700 feet of gain. Now, what's super awesome is usually that route for that kind of run would put me at about like pace wise, like 10, 20, 10:30 overall. And it's pretty much nearly 100 degrees. So that's hotter temperatures of what I'm normally used to running this in. And I did this at like a 2 RPE. So really easy, 3 on some of the climbs. And the average pace for this was about 9:55. That's pretty damn good. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to see. That means the adaptations are sinking in, the body's recovered. I felt great. I did not feel hot once. Now, I don't know. I'm gonna have to see like if I feel like okay, like if I feel immaculate later in the day, like I might go for a heat session just like as a little tune-up, because you know with heat training you want to feel hot. But we'll see. I mean, I don't want to overcook it. Don't want to overdo it. Like if I'm feeling just a little tired, then not going to be worth it. So that'll be a game time decision based on how I feel later today. But overall, a great freaking sign. And we're ready for States. The kit was awesome. Arm sleeves are great. The shirt's awesome. Gonna wear these shorts, are like bandana, everything. So yeah, we are ready to rock. And we got 1 week away, and we're gonna get this thing done. So I'm gonna go home, eat, watch Toy Story 5 in the theaters. We're going out to dinner tonight, the Cheesecake Factory, which is like, I mean, it's the GOAT. Cheesecake Factory is the GOAT. And yeah, feeling stoked, feeling ready, and cannot wait to do the damn thing. So, all right, let's get home and grub away. All right, so as you saw in that long run, let's compare the data. So I would say about the same intensity that I was doing at kind of mimics the Western States Camp day 2 that I did, where I did like a pretty easy effort out there, and that was at 10:03. Now, granted, this was also at about 70 degrees temperature. A little bit more fatigue on the legs and everything and such too, but this is like a pretty good indication of where we want to be at, or where kind of like race intensity was at for the early parts of the race, right? Day 2, I had a little bit more of a faster pace, or sorry, day 3, I had a little bit more of a faster pace in this camp, but I think this is more comparable to the intensity that I ran on the long run yesterday. So let's go to that. This was the long run and the taper, 9:29 average pace, and it was really hot. I mean, 95, near 100 degrees. I mean, that, my friends, is a sign that the taper is working, that the fitness is adapting, that the heat is adapted, right? Like, we have already seen the good signs of this too. And then even so, you didn't see this because I didn't record it, but I also did a recovery run. Look at that grade adjusted pace there. 8:56. That was recovery. Granted, it's a flat, but like, this was also in about 90-degree heat. So the fitness is fitnessing, my friends, and we're feeling good. Now, as always in these videos, I like to share my own tips for you to implement in your training, right? As a certified ultra running coach who's coached over 100 athletes personally and has 8+ years of racing experience, I always want to make these videos not just to document my journey, but also help you to plan out your race schedule, nail your training, nail your racing, whatever you're doing. That's why I do all these, right? I don't just document my journey because I want to show off or be like, ooh, like, look at me, like, do all this stuff. No, it's because I want to help you to crush your ultramarathon goals, right? So I'm going to give you like the taper specific stuff. But before we do that, I want to talk about just how I'm feeling, right? So I didn't record the recovery run today just because I was just going out there and chilling, visualizing the race and everything. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling recovered. I'm feeling heat adapted. I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling stoked. I'm feeling antsy. I just want to be out there. I wish I could just fast forward time, not even to the race, like even just getting there on Wednesday. Because like once I'm there and then just relaxing and just, visualizing stuff, I'll be in a good spot. But I do want to race. So, but I think the biggest thing that is amidst all the antsiness and anything is I feel ready. I feel prepared. I feel good to go. And it's a good place to be in the taper because I feel like I didn't, leave any stones in the training. Like, yes, like the journey was, ups and downs with, the health issue with the heart. And, we had a lot of travel and, we had things pop up, but like we did the best that we could amidst everything. And I think that is a huge thing. And, one thing I really like to do in the taper as well is I like to go through all my workouts and go through my training and view everything on there. And I was looking back on the training. I even watched some of the clips of the old YouTube videos that we were putting out in this series. And, it has you reflect on like how far you've come. And it's so cool to see that, this was a training block that I committed to putting everything I had into it. And I genuinely believe that I did. And I think it's a good place to be. And reflecting on the taper is reflecting on that in the taper is a very, very good thing to do because it gives you a lot of confidence for race day. So yeah, I'm super stoked about it. And I think this taper is going well. And we got 6 days from today until Western States, which is great. All right, let me tell you how I would suggest doing your taper. So a few different things. First thing is, let's talk about volume reduction. So you want to take your peak week. Well, actually, before we go into volume reduction, let's go into time frame. So as you've noticed with this video, I'm doing a 2-week taper. So it's the week before and then the week of the race. Some people do a 3-week taper. If you prefer that, or if you've been building for a long time, or if you're feeling overly cooked going into the final weeks of training, a 3-week taper could be preferred. I usually see a lot of success with most athletes at 2 weeks, not 2 days, 2 weeks. And studies show that 14 to 21 days are optimal timeframes for a taper. So for me, I have responded best with a 14-day taper in the past, which we'll talk about. And then most athletes, I do 14 days because that seems to be enough. Now, if you're assuming you're doing a 14-day taper, that first week you want to take your prior week's volume and you want to reduce it anywhere between 40 to 60% of that prior week's volume. So let's just say, I'm just making up numbers here, you do 10 hours a week. For your peak week, you want to do anywhere between 4 to 6 hours. Now, that sliding scale is going to range on a few different things. You want to go more on the less side if you are heat training, if you're feeling overly exhausted in your last few workouts, and if you just notice over time that you respond better to a more aggressive taper with less volume. Again, we'll talk about that. You can go more on the higher side if you're feeling really fresh going into the taper, if you respond better to usually a little bit of a heavier taper, or if you're not heat training. Now, for me, since I was heat training, I didn't feel tired really in that last week because I had a deload the week before. But I know with heat, I want to be in a position where I'm feeling pretty good. Like I took about 9 hours. So, man, I'm forgetting what that number is. Let me just do some calculations here. Yeah, so I was a little bit closer to the 40 to 50% range, which is fine. Like I generally respond better to a little bit of an easier taper. So, And I knew I was going to be doing heat training this week. And also, it's been pretty stressful with work and the business, just because we got a lot of things coming down the pipeline, and we're trying to push it all out at once. It's good stress, but it's busy, right? And that stuff does lead to fatigue. So I'm taking it more on the conservative side, which is good. And yeah, so that is the first week. And then the next week after that, you want to do another 40 to 60% of your prior week. So I'll probably do like 40% of 9 hours, which is what? Yeah, so about like 3 to 4 hours next week, which makes about sense too. I'll have a rest day tomorrow, and then pretty easy going to the race. And so that's like the volume perspective. You also want to keep some intensity. So if you saw in this video, I did a steady state workout. You generally want to keep one touch of intensity in there. For me, since I was doing 2 steady state workouts, I just brought the steady state workout to 1. If you're doing 1 speed workout, then I usually just like 1 session of strides. And I like to throw in strides here and there. So today on my run, I did some strides at the end, and I'll probably do some strides on Wednesday. Nothing fast, like nothing too pushy, just like some tempo strides just to keep the legs fresh and poppy throughout. Yeah, and then if you're doing heat protocol in the taper, what you want to do is you want to take your race day, you want to take the day before that and the day before that, and not count those days as heat training. So if you're racing on Saturday, you're going to axe off Friday and Thursday. And then from Wednesday backwards, for anywhere between 7 to 10 days in a row, you're going to want to do a heat stimulus each of those days for about 15 to 20 minutes of time where you are double your resting heart rate, you're feeling hot, and you're sweating profusely, ideally after your run. So that's what I'm doing here too. And that's suggested for a heat protocol too. Now, by the way, if you want the full heat protocol, watch that heat training video that we did several weeks ago where I did my first round of a heat training block. This was round number 2 for me. So it's basically just keeping the heat primed for round 2 on here. The third and probably most important principle of the taper is that personal preference supersedes the science. So what I mean by that is, everybody responds differently, both physically and mentally to the taper. Some people respond really well to not doing as much in the taper. Some people respond better to doing a little bit more in the taper. Some people respond better to a 3-week taper and a 2-week taper. And so for you in your ultramarathon journey, take notes of the times of when you've done different taper things and see what you respond best to and see what you didn't respond as good to. And that will allow you to formulate your taper to what works best for you. So when I'm coaching athletes, right, I have some athletes where I do a 3-week taper because they've responded to it in the past. And I have some athletes I do a 2-week taper. I have some athletes I go around 60% volume and some athletes I go around 40% volume just because, again, those people respond differently to those things. And so the more that you get to understand that, right, because the reason why that's so important is not just the physical side, but it's also the mental side, right? You want to feel good. You want to feel fresh. You want to feel like you are in the best way possible, best shape possible to go into this race. And the taper is all about going in mentally and physically ready to go in the race. And that mental part is really, really important as well too, because again, you can think about the race, you can stress over it, there's a bunch of things, but mentally you want to be nice and relaxed. And so, yes, you probably have to work, I've had to work and everything is such too, but have some fun. For me, I saw Toy Story 5 on Saturday, went out to one of my favorite restaurants, Cheesecake Factory, so good. And then I've just been I'm sure you've guessed it by what you've seen on there. So you can see, I got some theme park stuff. So I don't know if I've ever seen this, but yeah, I got posters of the 4 main theme parks in Disney World. So what does this have to do with the taper? Well, here's what it has to do with the taper. Also, by the way, that's a Disneyland shirt. Yep. Theme parks are one of my passions as well. And I've been planning some theme park trips later in the year. And that's what I've been spending time doing. I've been watching theme park YouTube videos. I've been making some theme park content on a secret account that will never see the light of day. Well, it has seen the light of day, but it's just out there. Anyways. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is what happens in the taper. You let all your secrets. Anyways, all that being said, the point of this is that it takes my mind a little bit away from the race and not being so focused, I shouldn't say so focused on it, but so caught up in the minutia of it where it ends up getting stressful or I'm overthinking it or anything, and allows me to just have no pressure fun, which is just making me feel a lot better for the race. And it gives me space to over a place where I'm okay, when it's time to race, we're going to lock in and I was going to say GTFO, but I guess GTFO, right? GTFO out of Tahoe all the way to Auburn. I don't know. You know what my point is find something fun to do, right? Find something fun to do, take the load off, and ultimately relax in the taper. So anyways, we got one more mini episode in this series left. one more mini episode in this series. We're going to do a quick pre-race video when I'm out in Tahoe getting ready for the race. It'll be really short, probably like 5 to 10 minutes, going through my final little pre-race thoughts. So we'll do that. And then after that, we will be releasing a documentary of the Western States 100 day out there too. And it's going to be called The Western States Project. So we're super stoked about that. So we got one episode left in this series, and then the series finale of the Western States Project. That is going to be the series finale. We'll see what happens, but I have a feeling it's going to be damn good. Anyways, I'm going to go relax. I'm going to go get ready. We're going to pack. We're going to head out to Tahoe on Wednesday. We'll see you then, my friends, for the last episode. Remember, taper well, recover well, train well if you're training well, endure better. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the penultimate episode of the Western States Series Prep. Let's go.